Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today is my full review of the SwitchBot Lock Pro. Now, this is the brand new lock from SwitchBot and actually only came out on sale today. Although, of course, it has been up for pre-order for a while. That means if you do want to pick one up, you can pick one up now, and there's links below for SwitchBot and Amazon. There's also a discount code if you shop via SwitchBot. Now, SwitchBot were kind enough to send me this in advance to make a review for you guys, and so I've been using this for about a week now. Now, I never tested SwitchBot's original smart lock because it wasn't compatible with my doors. The Lock Pro, however, is, which is great because it brings another one to the market for the UK users. And let's start off and talk about price. Now, this lock retails at £139. Realistically though, there's always discount codes available, including mine below. That means you're never going to pay more than about £125. This makes it one of the more affordable smart locks out there, especially for one that is compatible with Matter and therefore Apple Home. It is worth saying, however, if you want that compatibility to use it out of home when you're away from home, but also with devices using Matter, for example for me using my Apple Home app, then you are going to need an extra hub. And you're either going to need the new SwitchBot Hub Mini, which comes with Matter support and retails at £30, or the SwitchBot Hub 2, which retails around £60. Now, I am going to do a review of that new Hub Mini soon, so if you want to see that, subscribe below. Of course, if you already use SwitchBot products, the chances are maybe you've already got a Hub 2 around. This means if you want that out-of-home access and Matter support and the ability to use it in other apps, you are going to need to factor in that extra £30. It's also worth saying that there is an optional Fingerprint and keypad accessory available for £99, or £90 with the 10% off. This also has NFC abilities, and you're going to see this throughout the video as well. This is completely optional, and I am going to make a full separate review for this device. And of course, when you're purchasing it, you can bundle all of these together, so you can get a pack with the lock, the keypad, and the Hub Mini, and save a bit more. So let's continue with the review and talk about what you get in the box. So firstly, this is a really premium feeling product when you unbox it, and it feels like SwitchBot have upped the game with packaging for this Pro model. Inside the box, of course, you get the SwitchBot Lock Pro itself. You get two different mounting plates, and which one you need will depend on kind of how far your lock is from the door handle. You also get a spare sticky pad for one of these that requires sticky pad adhesive. And then you get a wet wipe and some extra adhesive and some holding tape as well. Alongside that, you get some screws and Allen keys for fitting it. And then you also get 8 different thumb turn adapters. This is basically everything you need in the box to get started, unless you need a new cylinder. And I'll talk about whether you will or not later on. And this leads us nicely to talk about compatibility. So this lock is far more compatible than SwitchBot's previous smart lock. And this one can work with a massive range of devices. This includes Euro profile cylinders like I've got, UK oval cylinders, Swiss round cylinders, knob cylinders, Euro cylinders with night latches, and multi-point locks. This also means it supports an open feature. That means if, like my front door, you need to do an extra key turn from the outside to get in, even if the door is unlocked, then this lock now supports that. And this is part of that night latch functionality. And it's great to see another lock finally supporting that, and that brings it alongside the Nuki Smart Lock, which does support that. And if you've been on this channel for a while, you'll know that the Nuki Smart Lock is the one I generally use day in, day out, and I'm a big fan of it. It is worth noting a couple of things at this point. One is if you have a multi-point door, you still need to lift your handle in order for it to be able to lock the door. That's because it cannot lift the handle and engage those multi-points for you. It's also worth noting that in order to use this lock, you need a cylinder that can be opened from the outside whilst a key is still on the inside. If you want to check if yours is compatible, all you have to do is pop a key on the inside of your lock and then try and use it from the outside, maybe with your door open so you don't lock yourself out. If yours isn't, then you will need to get a new cylinder that does that. These do tend to cost quite a bit more than your regular cylinder, so actually a more affordable option is to get a thumb turn one like a Yale one. That's what I've done, and that's what you're seeing throughout this video on the lock that I've been testing this with. I'll put a link to the Yale one I've got below, although of course the measurements of it are going to depend on your door. All in all, this is a very compatible smart lock. And so let's talk about installation. And the most important thing is that as this is a retrofit smart lock, it doesn't include any drilling at all. And I personally think it can be installed by most people in around 15 minutes or less. And that even includes if you need to change the cylinder, because changing cylinders is so easy to do. And I won't go through the whole process of installing it because I have made a separate video for that, but the installation process is pretty simple. So let's talk about design. And in my opinion, the design of this is miles ahead of the other SwitchBot smart lock. And it really does have a pro premium feel to it. And I think part of that is because it is largely made of metal, and so there's a real quality to this when you pick it up. And you do actually notice it is quite a heavy device. It has these nice rounded edges and kind of black oblong design. And then the battery cover on the front is magnetic, so it's easy to remove and put back on in place. And this whole thing just feels incredibly high quality. My only criticism with the design, and I think probably something you'll agree with, especially if you put it next to the Nuki, is that it is quite a big design. And I think that will probably put some people off. Personally, I think the design actually makes it look really smart, and so as I've got used to walking past it on my door, I really like the look of it. And of course, it's only on the inside of your door. There's no sign from the outside unless you've got that keypad accessory that you have a smart lock. And this also means you can use a key from the outside. I will be doing a full comparison video of the Nuki 4th generation as compared to the SwitchBot Pro Smart Lock, so subscribe if you want to see that when it comes out in a couple of weeks. All in all, however, I do really like the design of this, and I think the black makes it look really smart and the metal makes it feel really premium. So let's talk about specification. So I've already spoke about the types of lock and door it's compatible with. But in terms of connectivity, it connects to your phone and your SwitchBot Hub via Bluetooth. It also connects to the keypad accessory via Bluetooth. In terms of battery life, it takes 4 AA batteries. SwitchBot say these can last up to 270 days, and in the week I've been using this, it is still at 100%. And of course, when it drops below 20%, you'll get a notification reminding you to change those batteries. And because this lock doesn't modify your door from the outside, even if the batteries were to run out, you can still get in with a key. Likewise, from the inside, you can still get out by twisting that knob. SwitchBot will also be selling a kind of relay rechargeable battery pack at some point, which they say will get you about 360 days. And this is because it will basically be in 2 parts, and so you'll take one part out and charge it while the other part operates your door. This isn't available for sale yet, but it's a really smart idea and looks pretty cool, especially for kind of 365 battery life. And then for security, it has AES 128-bit encryption. This is for all the digital communication, and this is as secure as online banking. And then of course, in terms of security of the actual kind of cylinder in your door, because you don't change the cylinder, it's as secure as the cylinder that you've got. So whatever you picked up, it's that security level. And I know that some people watching this are going to be concerned about that push button to lock and unlock on the device. But it's worth saying this functionality can be turned off. What you can't turn off is the twist feature. If you use a keypad, you can also get notifications for incorrect passcodes. And then for compatibility with other services, it is Matter compatible when you use the SwitchBot Hub 2 or Hub Mini with Matter support. That means it works with Apple Home, Amazon Alexa, Google Home, and Samsung SmartThings. It also works with Home Assistant, and there's the option in the app to export things to Siri shortcuts. And then of course it works with the SwitchBot app, which is available for smartphones and also the Apple Watch. This makes it compatible with a massive range of external services, and that's great. It's worth saying I've only been using it with the SwitchBot app and also the Apple Home app because they're the apps I use on a daily basis. So now we've covered everything about this lock, let's move on to using it because I've been trying to put it through its paces over the last week. Now SwitchBot say there are 15 ways to use this lock. And I think with some of these they're clutching at straws, but here is a brief overview of all the ways they say you can use it. So firstly, you can use fingerprints with that external keypad. Secondly, you can use passcodes with that keypad. Thirdly, you can use NFC cards with that keypad. And actually, if you do get that keypad, you do get one NFC card in the box. And it's worth saying for passcodes, fingerprints, or keycards, you can create permanent or temporary ones. You're also able to disable the keypad from the SwitchBot app if you want to. And again, this can be done remotely. What you can't do with the temporary mode is set them to only work between certain times of day. For example, you couldn't create a temporary passcode that worked between 12 PM and 2 PM on Monday. You could just create one that works all the time until you set it to expire. And this is one of the biggest downsides of sharing access with this lock. But let's keep going with how you use it. So 4, you can remote lock or unlock if you use that cloud service with the hub wherever you are in the world. And you can do that via the SwitchBot app or whatever app you use. So I can do it with the SwitchBot app and the Apple Home app, wherever I am. 5, you can use voice control. 6, you can use your Apple Watch. 7, you can use Bluetooth, so if you're in range of the lock, you don't actually have to use the external hub. You can just use the SwitchBot app on your phone and connect via Bluetooth. 8, there's some iOS widgets. 9, if you use the keypad, you can share passcodes, and that includes instant ones. 10, you can also use NFC tags, which are slightly different to the cards that you use with the keypad. And with a SwitchBot tag, you can basically set it so when your phone goes near it, it unlocks the door. This isn't something I've tested. 11, you've got timed passcodes, which I've already mentioned. 12, you've got one-time passcodes, which again, I've already mentioned. 13, you've got timed fingerprints. 14, you can use your key. And then 15, you can use a SwitchBot remote. And really, I think SwitchBot have clutched at straws to get to 15 here, but it does illustrate there are a lot of ways to use this, although worth noting that a lot of those really do need you to have that external keypad accessory. So let's move on to how I have been using it. So most of the time, when I've wanted to lock it from the outside, I have actually just used that lock button on the keypad. This is great if you just go in and you want to lock that door. Of course, I've had this on my back door, so I've really just been using this for testing it. From the inside, I've been using the push button on the device most of the time, which is what SwitchBot call the quick key. This can be configured to lock, unlock, or basically do the opposite of the current state. You can also set whether it does this action on one press or two presses. And then, as I said, you can disable it, which is great if perhaps your letterbox is very close to the lock. Although again, people have to know you've got a smart lock in order to know that they can poke through your letterbox and push a button. I've also used that twist knob on it quite a lot because it is quite an easy way to do it. And the thing I've really noticed from using this, especially when compared to the Nuki, is just how quiet this lock is. And having tested this against Nuki with a Decibel app, it definitely is quieter. I've also used the app, so both the SwitchBot and the Apple Home app, to check the status and also to trigger lock in it. And generally, whichever way I've used it, I've found that it responds within about 1 to 2 seconds. It's also worth mentioning there is an auto lock feature, and this can be set to lock your door automatically when it's closed. And this is because you get a contact sensor included in the box with this lock. This can also send you notifications if you leave your door open. This is great to have, and it's really nice that this is included in the packet. Although I'm aware I forgot to mention it earlier when I was talking about what was included. Of course, if you've got a multi-point lock like me, you are still going to need to remember to lift the handle in order to engage the multi-point so it can lock. But if it tries to lock when you haven't done that, it will just tell you it's jammed. And actually, you even get that jammed notification through in the Apple Home app. You can also set the door to lock automatically after it's been unlocked for a certain amount of time. And of course, you can switch on these door unlock notifications and ajar notifications in the app. And when it comes to unlocking it from the outside, I've actually had to find excuses to lock it from the outside because it has been on my back door. And generally, whilst I have used the app just to see how quick it responds, and it responds really quickly, I've been using that keypad, especially the fingerprint scanner, because it's really responsive and it's just such an easy way to unlock a door. And as I said, that lock button on the keypad is really useful to have as well, because it's an easy way just to lock your door as you're leaving with a push of a button. And there's not a security risk with using that because it just locks your door, it doesn't unlock it. Although of course, if you are concerned about it, you can disable that lock button in the app. Likewise, if someone was to steal the keypad, you can disable and unlink the keypad in the app as well, but the keypad does only work when in Bluetooth range. And what I found in using this is that whether you use the app or the Apple Home app or the keypad, it just responds pretty quickly every single time. And of course, you can get notifications when the status of the lock changes. The biggest downside or kind of lack of functionality, especially if you don't buy that keypad, is the lack of geofencing. So in the SwitchBot app, you can set scenes based on when people leave and when people arrive. Now that's always when the person with the app leaves or arrives, not a kind of when the last person leaves or first person arrives. The problem is at the time of recording, the lock cannot be something that is triggered by one of those scenes. That means there is no way of achieving geolocation features in the SwitchBot app. Now, of course, if you use an external service like the Apple Home app, you can use apples when the last person leaves or first person arrives in order to use those geolocation features. And of course, the lack of this in the SwitchBot app is something that could be fixed with a software update. But if native support for that is something you want, then this isn't the lock for you at the moment. And then finally, it's worth saying that the night latch mode is a welcome addition. That means it can do that little extra turn in order to open a door from the outside, even when the door is actually unlocked. This is something you calibrate in the SwitchBot app. And this isn't something I've used much because my back door doesn't support it, but I have tried this on my front door temporarily just to see if it does work, and it does. So all in all, after a very long in-depth video, what is my verdict on the SwitchBot Lock Pro? And with the Lock Pro, SwitchBot have very nearly created my favourite smart lock. It's responsive, it works well, it feels really high quality, and there's tons of ways you can use it. On top of that, it has really good battery life with up to 9 months just from those 4 AA batteries, which kind of wipes the floor with the Nuki 6. And I like the design, and whilst it is a little bit bigger than something like the Nuki, I think it still looks really good, and the quietness is really good as well. So why have they only nearly created my favourite smart lock? And really it's down to 2 things. Firstly, guest access is extremely limited. And if you don't have that external keypad fingerprint scanner accessory, the only way to allow someone else to access your door with the SwitchBot app is to invite them to your entire home. And this just gives them access to everything all the time. If you want the option for something more temporary, then you are going to need that fingerprint keypad accessory. Now, I don't think that's a big deal because I think it is a really good accessory, and like I said, I am going to do a full review on it. However, it's still limited in what it can do. And whilst it does allow for temporary fingerprints, temporary key codes, and temporary NFC access, these are quite limited. So for key codes, you can create a one-time one, or you can create one that expires after an hour up to 24 hours. You can also create temporary ones that expire after a certain date. But what you can't do, which you can with other smart locks, is kind of time-limited ones. So if you've got a cleaner who comes on a Monday between 9 and 12, you can't create a passcode that only works on a Monday between 9 and 12. Their passcode will work all the time until you set it to expire, and then you'll have to send them another one. You could, of course, create the same one every week, but that is a manual task. And this, of course, is something that I think could be updated by software, and I will be feeding that back to SwitchBot, because I do think that is a limitation of the temporary access with this. It is also worth saying it does have a nice passcode feature, which is an emergency passcode. I'll talk more about this in my review of the keypad, but basically it's one where you can put in the passcode, it'll still open your door, but it flags to other people in your household that you are under duress. This means you don't put yourself in danger if someone is trying to force you to let them into your home, but you can raise the alarm. And then the second thing that lets it down, and this goes for pretty much every single retrofit smart lock out there for UK doors, is the lack of Apple Home Key support. And in fact, at the time of recording, the only retrofit UK compatible smart lock that has home key support is the 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 200, which isn't coming out until June. Now I will be reviewing that when it comes out, so subscribe if you do want to see that. And so whilst the lack of home key support is disappointing, it's not surprising. All in all, however, SwitchBot have created an excellent smart lock that is compatible with tons of different types of doors and works really well. And in using it for a week and trying to put it through its paces, using it perhaps more than I would my normal smart lock, I've actually found that it's really reliable and really responsive. I hope you guys have found this video helpful. If you've got any questions, do stick them below and I will answer those for you guys. If you do want to pick one up, I have put links below to this on Amazon and on SwitchBot's website, including a discount code for SwitchBot's website. Now, both of those links are affiliate links. That means if you buy something through one of those links, even if it's just a bag of cat litter, it will help out this channel. I don't get paid to make these videos, this isn't my full-time job, so if you use one of those links, thank you very much. If you want to see my review of the keypad and fingerprint scanner, and also my upcoming comparison of this SwitchBot Pro versus the 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞, then make sure you subscribe. Give this video a like, and I'll see you guys again soon.